and welcome back to the Ringer Starting 11. I'm Anthony Dabbundo. We are in the midst of pure chaos at the World Cup. 6 matches on Wednesday that we're going to get into. 18 matches, not nearly enough time to preview all 18 of them. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Group stage completes on Saturday. We got the knockout starting on Sunday. It's going to be electric. I'm excited. And honestly, Wednesday was one of the craziest days that we've had so far at the World Cup. Whether it was Switzerland showing a new ceiling with Johan Manzambi in the lineup, South Korea struggling, creating almost nothing for 90 minutes in a stunning loss, the biggest upset of the World Cup thus far in their upset defeat to South Africa. Bafana advancing to the knockout stage for the first time ever. Scotland, architects of their own demise, and now in deep, deep trouble to make it to the knockout stage. There was so much to get into, but I want to start with Switzerland because I think they, of all the teams that played on Thursday that are kind of in that will they qualify, won't they qualify, what is their ceiling mix, I think we learned a lot about Switzerland going on the road against Canada in a match they had to win. And making the decision to start Manzambi, I thought was huge for their chances of winning the match. And then he ends up getting the assist for the opener. He scores the second goal, puts the Swiss up 2-0. They struggled a lot to kill off that game. I thought they dropped a little bit deep. Their midfield clearly, I thought, ran out of gas. Xhaka and Freuler, not players at this age, at this point in their careers, you can rely on for a full 90. And I thought they didn't do a very good job of navigating the killing off the game period. But the opening hour, I thought, was the best hour that Switzerland played, maybe of the entire tournament in terms of creating chances, stuffing Canada for the most part. There was the one chance Canada had when they were in on goal, but they were offside there. So I really like Switzerland. I think the draw now breaks pretty favorably for them. They're going to get a third-place team in the round of 32, likely Algeria, and then could end up getting Colombia or Portugal, whoever ends up winning that group in the round of 16. I think they're pretty competitive. They've never won a knockout match in their nation's history. I think they'll do that. But I think the Swiss have a real quarterfinal ceiling here. I really especially loved Embolo's hold-up play and then Manzambi running off of him in different facets. And it makes them a much more dangerous underdog. Because we know the Swiss, when they can control the game through midfield, they're a pretty effective team. But when they have to defend, can they play in transition? Are they dynamic enough? Do they have the attackers? They might now. Johan's been an absolute fire plug off the bench, and I think the Swiss are now real live to make a quarterfinal run here. Not saying they will, but they might. Next thing is Scotland, the middle window. Not a ton on Brazil. I think we'll see what Brazil looks like. Most likely going to play Japan in the round of 32, then potentially Norway or the Ivory Coast in the round of 16. So they're going to have a tough path here to get through. Still think we have a lot to learn about Brazil. Tonight, I thought, said more about Scotland. I thought that it was really disappointing to see Scotland trying so hard to play out from the back when that's really not their DNA, not their ethos. The giveaways, the way they wore down, the fact they gave up over 4 expected goals, it almost makes you think, like, how good was Scotland at all in this tournament? Because you can go back to their opening match against Haiti, pull up the box score from that match, go rewatch parts of it. Total shots were about even. XG was about even. Super John McGinn scores the goal, but for the most part, Scotland didn't really do a ton in this tournament. They created very little against Morocco and very little against Brazil, and they pretty much backed themselves into a corner. With South Africa's win, they're going to need a series of miracles to get through to the knockouts now. They're going to need one of these 3-point teams to go below them on goal difference. They're going to need Ecuador to not beat Germany. They're going to need Congo to drop points. They're going to need maybe Uruguay to lose. So they're going to need a lot of help to get through. I don't think it's going to happen for Scotland anymore. I'm below 40%, especially after South Africa's win. So not looking good for them to advance. South Korea struggled quite a bit. I don't really know what went wrong for them. I mean, they created 0.5 expected goals from open play against South Africa. Now, on one hand, I thought their press looked quite ineffective. I thought they looked very leggy in the second half. I thought maybe the most alarming part of the match was that once they went down 1-0, there was very little applied consistent pressure. It was a lot of just lofted balls into the penalty area with no real direction or aim. And honestly, South Africa was winning all those headers. Korea is not a tall team. The Czechs showed in that match all the way back on day one of this tournament that that they're going to be the more dominant aerial team over South Korea. The South Africans showed it. I would be pretty concerned if I were South Korea. Now, their most likely round of 32 opponent right now is Egypt, and we'll have more on that later with regards to the United States. So they may end up getting a decent matchup here, but where are their legs at this point in the tournament? Because they looked really, really leggy. Sonny doesn't even play. He's been playing 70 minutes a match. They don't start him tonight. He comes off the bench, gave them very little. So again, you just see these consistent attacks. We know Korea can play in transition. We know they like to get in behind, but I just don't really think that this South Korea team has shown much to be excited about. Two very lackluster attacking performances in a row. And again, you go back and it was like the second half against Czechia was just about it for this team. And look what Czechia did in their other two matches. So I think that really says a lot about South Korea. And honestly, a team I've downgraded considerably as a result. And I really don't know that they should even be a favorite over Egypt if they play them in the round of 32. So a lot we learned from the round of 32 from the group stage. But the biggest winner may have actually ended up being Canada. We're going to get to that in a second. But first, Thursday night, USA concludes group play against Turkey. And I don't really know what to expect. I'm recording this Wednesday night. I have no clue what Pochettino's plans are in terms of a lineup, in terms of who starts and who doesn't. I personally would like to see Matt Freese start because I think he needs experience. I think he needs opportunities to get some shot stopping with this ball. And a lot of the goalkeepers have been having trouble in this tournament. So I want Freese to get more action as much as possible. But after that, Haji Wright, Gio Reyna, Alejandro Zendejas, Tim Weah, Sebastian Berhalter, Arfsen, Joe Scally. I mean, if all those guys start, I don't think I'll be disappointed. I want to see Mark McKenzie, and that is the first name that I've highlighted. I have three names that I'm most excited to watch for the U.S. men's national team, and I think we can learn the most from in Thursday's game because this is a lot of what we've seen from the U.S. It's not their best team. It's not going to be their best team. We've seen plenty of Tim Weah, of Gio Reyna, and a little of Mark McKenzie, but those are the three guys for me. McKenzie because we know Tim Ream's age. We know that Ream is not going to be much of a factor in the next World Cup cycle, the Copa America going forward. McKenzie is the next name up for me as somebody who could earn his place in the regular starting back three. He has the pace to do it. I just don't know how much he's trusted, and that makes this game against a dangerous yet so far toothless Turkey really important. Because if McKenzie has a great performance, I think that will do wonders for his confidence, sure, but also who knows who the next manager of the U.S. men's national team is going to be, but they're probably going to be watching this match and getting a real opportunity to evaluate the talent pool beyond just the main starters. The other name is Tim Weah. Tim Weah is the odd man out right here, right? Tim Weah has been a regular starter for the U.S. for years, scored the opening goal of the 22 World Cup, was a key factor for a negative reason at the 2024 Copa America, and now he's coming off the bench. And this is an opportunity for him to start in this match. And I don't think he's going to usurp Serginho Dest in the lineup with a performance, but I think he solidifies himself as one of the first men off the bench if the U.S. needs to change something up in a knockout match. And I'm excited to see Tim Weah get some run because I like Tim Weah. I think Tim Weah is a very good player, and I think it's a little bit of a shame of the formation that Tim Weah ends up being the odd man out in all of this, right? If they had kept the 4-2-3-1, which I think a lot of people would have expected Pochettino to play, Tim Weah would still be in this lineup most likely, but he is not. He's adjusted to that well. He's given them good minutes off the bench, and now he has an opportunity to prove himself. And then Gio Reyna. I think it was telling that as much as Poch likes Reyna and put him on the team and brought him despite not playing for the club, that when Christian Pulisic was out, it didn't seem like Reyna was ever really in consideration to start a match, and I think that speaks to Reyna's legs. I think Reyna is still an incredibly gifted and skilled player, but all the running data, all of the athletic data says that he's just not the same guy anymore. And so what does he look like in this match, right? Turkey's going to give you time and space on the ball. They're going to want to play a transition-based game, and I think this game could get really fun end to end. How does Reyna keep up in a game like that? And how does the space offered to Reyna allow him to pick out passes in behind, to find runners, to create chances, to maybe even score a goal? Because we know Reyna is very capable with the ball at his feet. So Gio Reyna, Tim Weah, Mark McKenzie. The three players I'm most excited and hoping to see for the U.S. against Turkey. Do I care about the result? No. Does the result matter for anything? No. I'm excited to see what effort we get from Turkey. Are they 1-2-3 Santorini? Or are they going to show some pride here, try to get a goal on the board? There's only 3 teams of the World Cup that have not yet scored. Turkey's taken over 60 shots, yet they have not found the back of the net. So you do expect some pride effort on the line. It's their first World Cup appearance in 24 years, but who knows? The bracket is shaping up as well. And the U.S. has had some significant changes to its bracket outlook in the last couple of days. First off, Bosnia takes care of Qatar. So Bosnia will be the United States opponent in the round of 32. Now, I put out a tweet on Wednesday with my projections for that match, and I think the United States should be about minus 160 on the money line, which equates to a little over a 60% chance of them winning the game in 90 minutes. As far as to advance, I have the U.S. A little bit more aggressive, of course, because their odds of winning in 90 are going to be less than their odds of winning in 120. But I have the U.S. at 74.2% to advance, which is minus 288. We have not yet seen FanDuel put up a market yet. The matchup is not technically confirmed, although it will be almost certainly on Thursday. So we'll dive more into that matchup before we get there. That's not until next Wednesday, so we've got some time. But I think it's a pretty favorable one for the United States. Set pieces are going to be a concern. Bosnia is a very big team. They scored off a set piece against the Canadians in the opener. But I think we've seen that the Swiss and even the Canadians in the second half were able to really take control of those matches. I think the U.S. at home with a healthy Pulisic should have no issues against a pretty shaky defense. I know the Bosnians knocked out Italy, but I'm not too yet concerned. As for the rest of the path, Egypt is still a front runner in Group G. They will not finish their group play until Friday, so we have some time to figure out where the permutation fits there. Will it be Belgium? Will it be Egypt? Will it be Iran? Most likely Egypt. South Korea now slots in as the almost certain team to play in that section against Egypt, Belgium, or Iran. And I think that all works out in the U.S.'s favor because the other team that was lurking there potentially was Senegal. Now it won't be Senegal. It'll be South Korea, who again has looked very inconsistent and leggy throughout this tournament. I have not been overly impressed. I know they beat the United States 2-0 in a friendly last fall, but again, just a vastly different U.S. team and vastly different point in their arc right now. So I think the red carpet is being rolled out. If Belgium doesn't win Group G and it's Egypt or South Korea and Bosnia, and those are the 3 teams standing in the way of the United States in a quarterfinal appearance, it is hard not to get excited about that. And it's hard not to be excited if you're a Canadian, because as disappointed as you would have been to blow the group and burn the chance at 2 home games, now you get South Africa in that first round matchup on Sunday. And then most likely the Dutch or the Moroccans in the round of 16. So that'll be a tough game, certainly. But it's not like you're running into one of the superpowers in the round of 16 either, which was a possibility for Canada originally too. So you feel pretty good. If you're Canada, if you're the United States, the way the bracket is shaping up to get potentially all three host nations into the round of 16, that would be an amazing feat. Mexico gets its section. We'll figure out who their round of 32 opponent is. They're still on that collision course at Azteca on July 5th with the English national team. That's the one game everybody has circled. Certainly I do, and I'm hoping we can get it. We'll see what England looks like in its final group match. They have to secure the group still, but England, Mexico, Azteca, July 5th. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that has the chance to be the match of the tournament. And finally, we'll go 3 points for the road. 0-2-1 last episode. Not great. Got to turn it around. Late goals have not been our friend. A lot of stoppage time goals in this tournament have gone against the Dabbundo conglomerate. So let's turn it around. 3 points for the road. Ecuador +1, -110 against Germany. I got one more in me with the Ecuadorians. This market has gotten a little out of hand on Germany. They took money all day long on Wednesday. I just watched it go up and up and up, and I said, I don't really agree with this. The Germans closed -170 against Ivory Coast. Ecuador's a better team. Yes, they have to go for the win, but they're a very capable defensive press and transition team. I know they haven't scored. They haven't taken their chances, but Germany doesn't need the game at all. So if they rotate here, especially with now the Schlotterbeck injury, questions about the Germans in this matchup. Like for the first one, do they even care? Second bet, Friday, Norway and France share a field. Now, France team total. France has been taking a lot of money. That's fun. Let's find a fun prop to bet this one. Norway, France, both teams to score in the first half, 3-1. Now, France's defense has looked a little bit shaky through first two matches. They conceded some real chances to Iraq and really a lot of good chances to Senegal in that first match. They're conceding some high XG chances too, which is very rare for France. Norway loves to get in transition. France will try to deny that, and they'll do a pretty good job of denying that. However, I do have questions about whether that French midfield is quite as good as it usually is and has been in the past. And then at the other end, I don't think Norway can defend. I think they are trying to outscore people because they know they can't defend, especially in wide areas. I think France will get one-on-ones with its wingers and have a field day getting crosses into the box and getting chances. So 3-1 first half, both teams to score. I think this is going to be a fun back-and-forth match where both teams have already advanced, and that should lead to a bunch of chances. So both teams score first half, and then on Saturday night, the group stage concludes. I have to do it. Colombia plus a half, -110 against Portugal. I said before the tournament, I didn't see a huge gap between these two teams. Portugal needs the win. Colombia just needs the draw, but they are such a dogged defensive team. When they get in their low block, when they get in the pressing energy they provide, I think they can cause a lot of problems for Portugal. They'll be dangerous on the break. Through two matches, XG differences are pretty comparable. They had similar opponents, obviously. Colombia did a much better job against Congo than Portugal did. So all in all, I'm going Colombia plus a half against the Portuguese. We did bet them to win the group pre-group, so hopefully we can get that one across the line. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. And remember, with FanDuel Super Sub, if your player gets subbed out, your bet stays alive. We had Gilberto Mora in that Mexico game. He got subbed out with only one shot. We needed two shots. The backup, Fidalgo, who came off the bench, gets the shot in stoppage time, cashes the bet for us. So Gilberto Mora, 2+ shots, gets to the window because of this FanDuel Super Sub promo, a promo that I've really enjoyed betting with during this tournament, and you can too. Thanks for watching the Starting 11. We'll be back to preview the knockout round.